You think power looks loud. You think it wears a suit, gives orders, raises its voice. But the real power, the kind that shakes people without ever touching them, moves in silence. It smiles, it listens, it waits. Picture this, my friend. You walk into a room believing you're respected. You've earned your place. Your words carry weight. Your loyalty means something. But what you don't see is that the respect you're getting is conditional. It's permission, not power. They let you feel important, as long as you don't notice the leash around your neck. Every compliment, every moment of approval, it's not given freely. It's calculated. This is the first betrayal. Not the moment they lie to you, but the moment you realize they never had to. Powerful people never need to deceive you directly. They simply build a world where you deceive yourself. You call it love. You call it teamwork. You call it mutual understanding. But beneath those words lies a simple, brutal truth they've been training your emotions to obey. Think about it. The boss who praises you when you stay late, but goes silent when you finally draw a boundary. The woman who says she wants a strong man, then loses interest the moment you stop seeking her validation. The friend who only checks on you when they need to feel wise. These people don't take control by arguing with you. They take control by teaching your brain what peace feels like, and then making that peace dependent on them. You call it connection. They call it leverage. The betrayal is realizing how much of your life was built inside someone else's illusion. You were never equal. You were never in charge. You were simply useful. And once your usefulness fades, so does their kindness. That's when you understand it was never personal. It was strategic. Because powerful people don't destroy you out of hatred. They dismantle you out of convenience, piece by piece, smile by smile, until the man you used to be can no longer remember where his will ended and their influence began. You've been told to understand women, to read books, watch podcasts, memorize patterns. But no one tells you the real reason you keep failing to understand them. You read trying to decode emotion with logic. And logic was never built for survival. Instinct was. Everything about attraction, loyalty, and betrayal is biology wearing perfume. When she tests you, when she withdraws, when she pulls away after you've given your best, you think it's cruelty. It's not. It's a subconscious filtration process. Her biology is ancient, older than morality, older than love. It's scanning for one question. Is this man capable of surviving chaos? Because in nature, chaos is the only constant. And men who break under uncertainty don't protect. They endanger. So she tests you, not because she hates you, because her DNA doesn't trust you yet. That is the part no one wants to hear, that her love is conditional because her survival once depended on it. And when she senses you're emotionally dependent on her, the test is over. You failed. Not because you weren't kind, but because you became predictable. Predictability to her is safety in the short term, but weakness in the long run. And weakness cannot be loved, only tolerated, until something stronger appears. That's when the shift happens. Her tone changes. Her eyes wander. You feel the distance before you can explain it. And you blame yourself. You think you were too emotional, too available, too soft. But the truth is simpler. You stopped representing danger. You stopped representing choice. Because female desire doesn't feed on logic. It feeds on polarity. The magnetic pull between security and mystery. Too much of one kills the other. The biological truth is not romantic. It's strategic. It ensures her genes survive, not that your heart does. You can curse it, deny it, moralize it, but it's older than your culture, older than your name. And until you accept that every relationship you enter is a silent negotiation between biology and fantasy, you'll keep mistaking instincts for betrayal and loyalty for love. Because love, in its purest form, is not unconditional. It's biological selection, disguised as poetry. Picture this, brother. You're sitting across from her, giving your all, thinking you're building a partnership. You're attentive, loyal, consistent, and yet she's distant, emotionally somewhere else. You wonder what went wrong. Here's the brutal truth: nothing went wrong. You're witnessing a neurological war being waged silently, every second, in her brain. Her mind runs on dopamine, cortisol, and a cocktail of ancient programming designed to detect opportunity and threat. Every compliment from you is processed differently than a compliment from a stranger. You're safe, predictable, obligatory. The stranger? Novel, unexpected, dangerous. And danger triggers the same chemical rush her ancestors relied on to survive: dopamine spikes. Adrenaline surges. It feels like excitement, but it's not love. It's biology deciding who deserves her investment. This is why small shifts in behavior feel catastrophic. A smile that lingers too long. A text that goes unanswered. A new friend who's high status or high value. Her brain doesn't see romance, it sees survival calculus. And here's the part men never understand. You cannot compete with biology with logic, loyalty, or effort alone. Your devotion is predictable. Your presence is safe. Safety does not excite the primitive brain. Novelty does. Risk does. Challenge does. It's not evil, brother. It's evolutionary design. Your comfort is her liability. Her desire for challenge is her weapon. And when she tests you pulling away, withholding, pushing boundaries, you think she's being cruel. She's not. She's running a simulation older than time itself. She's evaluating your survival value, your dominance, your capacity to remain high status under stress. Every silent glance, every slight withdrawal, every teasing remark, it's all data for her subconscious. And if your neurological patterns don't excite her dopamine pathways, you are invisible. You are tolerated. You are replaceable. Now, you might be asking, so what do I do? The answer is simple, brother, but hard. You must play the game she didn't invite you to, using the rules she was born knowing. You must become unpredictable, magnetic, a man who exists beyond her calculations, so her biology has no choice but to chase. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Love is secondary. Chemistry is primary. If you can't hack the chemistry, your loyalty, your devotion, your good intentions mean nothing. Brother, pay attention, because the signs are always there. If you miss them, you're not just blindsided, you're collateral damage. First, the withdrawal. She used to tell you everything. Dreams, frustrations, even the small annoyances. Now, she's quiet, private, secretive. Her phone becomes sacred. Explanations are rehearsed. She's not hiding because she's guilty. At least not initially. She's hiding because her brain is rewiring, testing boundaries, running simulations, weighing options. Second, the nostalgia trap. She starts talking about her past with a smile. Old boyfriends, wild nights, the person she used to be. Not with shame, not with regret, but with longing. Every memory she romanticizes becomes a benchmark against you. Her past becomes a weapon, brother, a standard you can never meet. Third, the sudden obsession with external validation. Compliments from strangers, social media likes, attention from new men. Her brain prioritizes novelty over stability. A single "you look amazing" from the wrong person hits harder than years of your loyalty. You've become predictable. He's unpredictable. That's the difference. Fourth, the emotional roller coaster. She's unusually pleasant one moment, icy the next. She picks fights over trivial things. Or she apologizes excessively for nothing. Both are signs. One means she's building justification. The other means she's managing guilt. Neither is harmless. Both signal the silent war in progress. Fifth, the social poison. Her friends, the ones who left their marriages, the ones who celebrate rebellion. They're dealers, brother. They push a narrative that validates panic and rebellion. Every wine night, every shared story of freedom is reinforcing the biological itch that you cannot satisfy. And finally, the subtle distancing of time and priorities. She suddenly needs space-time for herself, new commitments, mysterious hobbies. Not because she hates you, brother, but because she's testing her options, exploring new dopamine pathways, unconsciously seeking what your predictability cannot give her. I've seen it countless times. The devoted wife, mother of 3, loving and loyal. And yet her brain, quietly, silently, rewires itself, preparing for an inevitable emotional detonation. Here's the bitter truth. If you recognize these behaviors and don't act strategically, you will lose not because you failed, but because biology doesn't negotiate. Brother, the good news? Once you see the signs, you can anticipate, protect, and even redirect the outcome. But ignorance is fatal. Blind devotion will never save you here. Brother, here's where most men completely miss the bigger picture. It's not just biology or her brain chemistry. It's the system itself, stacked against you. Every magazine, every talk show, every self-help seminar tells her she deserves better. Live your truth. Follow your heart. Find yourself. Do you see what's happening, my friend? Society isn't helping her navigate life. It's validating her panic. It celebrates rebellion, glorifies escape, and turns temporary desire into permanent justification. Social media is the ultimate amplifier. Our scrolling curated lives, perfect vacations, highlight reels of other marriages. Every post, every filter, every story confirms the one lie her panicking brain already believes. What I have isn't enough. I deserve more. I'm missing out. Brother, she's comparing reality to fantasy, and reality never wins. Her friends? The so-called supportive tribe? They're dealers pushing a drug called validation. Divorced women, empowered women, women who abandoned stability for novelty, they normalize destruction. They celebrate chaos. They frame leaving as enlightenment. Your stable marriage becomes framed as oppression. Your decade of devotion becomes a decade of suppression. Her panic is not just personal, it's socially reinforced. Therapy culture doesn't help either. Modern psychology tells her, your feelings matter above all else. Happiness is everything. Commitment? Predictable, safe, boring. These are framed as traps, obligations, chains to break free from. Brother, this is how an entire generation of women is trained to panic when excitement fades. Even empowerment, the so-called key to freedom, becomes destructive. They tell her, you are strong, you are independent. You can create your own story. Strength without wisdom, independence without foresight. This combination becomes a weapon aimed at stability, loyalty, and men who built a life she now questions. Look around. Everywhere you turn, the system conspires. Society rewards novelty, punishes predictability. Her friends, social media, and modern narratives all push the same message. Your past life is worthless. Your family is optional. Your loyalty is invisible. This is why, my friend, the silent manipulation isn't just biological, it's cultural. The battlefield isn't just inside her brain. It's in the ecosystem she lives in. Every external influence accelerates the process, feeding the neurological fire already burning within. And here's the terrifying part. If you don't understand the conspiracy, you're playing defense blindfolded. You can't win by being good, loyal, or patient, because the system itself is stacked against you. The collapse isn't just inevitable, it's orchestrated, and men are the unrecognized casualties. Brother, now that you see the conspiracy, you see the battlefield clearly. Picture this. You've been building a life, a marriage, a family. Decades of loyalty, of devotion, of silent sacrifice. And then, one day, the signs you ignored, the whispers you dismissed, the panic you thought was temporary, they all converge. The collapse begins. It doesn't start with shouting or fights. No, it's subtle. A withdrawn glance here, an uncharacteristic argument there, small irritations magnified. She tests you, brother. Unconsciously, neurologically, she's seeking proof. Can this life still excite her? And when it doesn't, when the dopamine fails, when the thrill is gone, the destruction accelerates. I've seen it countless times. The devoted wife, who once thrived on shared routines, now craving the forbiddance, the attention of men who don't owe her a thing. The woman who kissed your children goodnight becomes cold, distracted, emotionally absent. Brother, this is not revenge, it's panic. The brain wants stimulation, novelty, the spark that safe predictability cannot provide. The first casualty is emotional intimacy. You give her safety, predictability, loyalty. Her brain treats it like background noise. Nothing floods the reward system. Meanwhile, a single compliment from an outsider triggers a neurological explosion. Dopamine surges, reward pathways fire, obsession takes hold. The stable life you built, the foundation you poured decades into, becomes invisible. Then comes the physical manifestation. Abrupt changes in behavior, style, obsession with youth, frantic validation seeking. The workouts, the cosmetic routines, the late-night texts, they're not vanity. They're a neurological imperative, a desperate bid to reclaim a sense of self slipping away under evolutionary pressure. And here's the cruelest part, my friend. Society applauds her for it. Her rebellion is framed as empowerment, independence, liberation. Meanwhile, the husband, the children, the family, casualties of a system designed to reward novelty and punish predictability. Case study. I once spoke to a man married for 18 years. A devoted father, a successful partner, a man who believed loyalty and love were enough. His wife met a new man at her yoga studio, someone who saw her as desirable rather than just familiar. Within 6 months, she left. Not because he failed. Not because she was evil. Because the collapse was inevitable. The neurological fire had consumed her perception of reality. She rationalized it, justified it, framed herself as the hero of her story. And he, left to pick up the pieces, to explain the unexplainable to his children, to wonder how decades of devotion could vanish overnight. Brother, this is the pattern you see over and over. The subtle withdrawal. The nostalgic obsession with past excitement. The friends who validate destruction. The social media that fuels discontent. The abrupt attraction to novelty. And finally, the detonation. Divorce, betrayal, shattered families. Lives appended, all in the name of neurological panic and social reinforcement. You need to understand this collapse is not rare. It's predictable, inevitable if the underlying psychology is ignored. If you don't recognize the warning signs, if you ignore the biological imperatives, if you dismiss the social forces, you are walking into a war you cannot win. Now, let me tell you the bitter truth, brother. No matter how high value you are, no matter how loyal, how patient, how supportive, you cannot fight biology. You cannot argue with hardwired neurological imperatives. The panic, the craving, the obsession with novelty. It's all embedded deep in the DNA. Every woman is programmed to seek validation, to feel desire, to chase what excites her brain. And when predictability replaces thrill, when routine replaces novelty, when safety replaces risk, she panics. It isn't personal. She isn't evil. She's responding to the neurological fire raging in her mind, the chemical signals screaming for stimulation. I've seen men who gave everything, who were perfect husbands, perfect fathers, and still lost everything. Wealthy men, respected men, men who sacrificed youth, energy, and time for the family. Gone. And the reason is simple. Her brain didn't recognize love as reward anymore. Familiarity doesn't release dopamine. Loyalty doesn't trigger excitement. Safety is invisible. And society tells her, you deserve better. You deserve to feel alive. You deserve freedom. So she chases it, blind to consequence, deaf to reason, Her friends, the so-called empowered women, are dealers, pushing the poison of discontent. Social media is a drug, feeding her illusions, curated fantasies, a constant reminder of what she could have, what she's missing. Every scroll, every comparison, every story fuels the panic, magnifies the craving, amplifies the inevitable destruction. And you, my friend, are collateral damage. Not because you failed, not because you weren't enough, because the system, her biology, and the modern culture she drinks from conspire against stability. Because love, loyalty, and patience are predictable. And predictable doesn't make her brain feel alive. The most painful truth? When the dust settles, when reality catches up, when the novelty fades, she may return. But the woman who comes back is a stranger wearing her face. She carries memories, emotions, and comparisons that will forever distort what you once shared. The bond you built, the life you created, filtered through neurological panic, social validation, and the desperate attempt to reclaim youth. Brother, you must accept this uncomfortable reality. You cannot fix someone else's relationship with time. You cannot outcompete biology. You cannot argue with chemical imperatives or social programming. You can only prepare, protect, and survive. So what do you do when everything you thought was secure becomes a battlefield? First, recognize your position. You are not weak. You are not naive. You are the one who sees the invisible strings pulling behind the scenes. Awareness is your first weapon. Understanding the neurological triggers, the social manipulations, the hidden impulses that's power. Second, protect your assets emotionally, financially, and psychologically. Document interactions, establish boundaries, and never let your empathy be exploited. Because the world will celebrate her freedom while quietly punishing your patience. Your children, your resources, your dignity, these are the stakes. Guard them like a fortress. Third, invest in yourself relentlessly. Not to compete with her panic, not to win her back, but to become untouchable. High-value men do not wait for permission. They build strength, wealth, skills, and mastery. When a man focuses on himself, he rewires his own dopamine, creates his own validation, and becomes independent of her chaos. Fourth, recognize the patterns before they detonate. Obsessive nostalgia for the past. Sudden need for validation from strangers. Escalating conflicts or eerily pleasant behavior. These are not trivial signs. They are red flags. They are your warning system. Ignore them at your peril. Finally, accept the truth nobody else will tell you. Some destruction is inevitable. Not because you failed, but because her biology, her programming, and her environment conspired against permanence. Your task is not to change her, but to survive, thrive, and ensure your world remains intact. Because at the end of the day, brother, the universe rewards clarity, preparation, and resilience, not blind devotion. Remember this. Loyalty is a weapon only when matched with awareness. Empathy is power only when guarded. And love is sacred only when it does not destroy your life in the process. You've seen the battlefield. You've learned the mechanisms. Now it's your choice. Stay passive and risk annihilation, or rise, prepare, and control your domain. The knowledge is yours. Use it or pay the price. And if you're ready to see the next layer of truth, the one most people are too afraid to confront, click on the next video that just appeared on your screen.